Good morning, Zach and America. Welcome to the Daily News America Live show.
Good day, Alex. So what do we have in store today?
Well, on this special broadcast, I was planning on doing a bit of an American timeline and an interview with a guest speaker, if that's okay with you.
Sure, let's get right down to business.
Yeah, Zach, I remember when I was 10 years old when that daring pilot flew across the Atlantic. What was his name? Charles...
Lindbergh. Yes, I remember as well. As a matter of fact, I think today's the 30th anniversary since he flew that plane.
Today is May 20th, 1957, right? Yes, he flew the Spirit of St. Louis on May 20th, 1927. What a coincidence.
I still admire that audacious man. Look, he was the first man to single-handedly make a trip across the Atlantic Ocean from New York to Paris.
Did you know that with his novel aircraft, Lindbergh was hired by companies to deliver airmail? It is not as easy as you think. He and his students would travel through all types of weather, making his job a very difficult task.
I see. He also won the Orteig Prize, which he so coveted at that time. It was really difficult for him to even make a plane to compete with $2,000, but with the support of some businessman, he was able to build a plane for the $25,000 prize.
Wow. He is the perfect example of someone who worked for his dream to beat his reality.
But that was not really on the minds of American people at that time. I mean, it was a feat that deserved acknowledgement, but everyone was still concerned about Prohibition from 1919 to 1933.
Yeah, that was a dark time in American history. I can understand the intention of the 18th Amendment, but it's just not practical now looking at it in retrospect.
I agree. Bootleggers would find ways to smuggle alcohol if they really wanted to. Therefore, crime rates and corruption increased.
How so?
Think about it. Al Capone and his crew would bribe policemen to look the other way.
I never knew that. Very interesting. In addition to the alcohol being produced, the government could not tax it, so they lost quite a sum of money.
Can you even think about anything that came out of Prohibition?
Not really, but one notable fact was that fewer people drank alcohol and died from consumption. Due to the inefficiency of Prohibition, more than 3/4 of the states approved to have it repealed by passing the 21st Amendment on December 5th, 1933.
Now it's time for a pop quiz. What was the 22nd Amendment about?
I know. It had to do something with presidents not being able to serve for more than 2 terms, right?
You win. Yeah, that's right.
I want to talk about this. FDR served for a whopping 4 terms, but yet he was one of the most influential people of that era. He led America through some of the toughest times in American history.
Let's take a look. He started his first term during the Great Depression, and arguably fixed it during his first 2 terms, by passing a series of reform and recovery legislation called the New Deal.
Yeah, it was immensely popular in the United States because of the help it gave the middle class and the lower class with Social Security. Banks became stronger and secure to prevent another economic crisis.
Now, after his second term, his third and fourth term, he focused on Nazi Germany and World War II, and less concerned about the economy.
Also, I recall distinctly that he passed some laws trying to help out the Allied powers.
Yeah, that's right. He knew that England and France needed assistance badly, so FDR basically gave them supplies and weapons to use.
And this leads us right into World War II.
What were the Japanese thinking when they bombed Pearl Harbor? To defeat one of the strongest countries militarily? Yeah, right.
I know for a fact that they could not defeat us with one attack. They were just trying to prevent American interference in the Pacific theater.
Well, true, but now they made just a huge mistake. Who knows if the US could have gotten involved in World War II if Japan did not bomb us.
It was definitely a mistake because that decision led to the downfall of Nazi Germany and Japan eventually. Let's take a moment to discuss the tragic moments in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, it was so unfortunate that so many people died in one day. Honestly, it is not the warships that were sunk or the equipment that were destroyed, but rather the personnel we lost because materials could be reproduced, but a person cannot.
Maybe coining and portraying the Japanese as an evil, subhuman, and a malicious race was valid.
Maybe, but as the saying goes, all is fair in love and war. Okay.
As the Allies and the Central Powers fought in Europe or Japan, we had some difficulties right here in the US.
And why is that?
Well, you will see when I introduce to you our guest speaker, Mrs. Margaret Hill.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So Margaret, I have 2 questions I would like to ask you about your experience at home during World War II, and they are, how did you survive with only yourself providing for your family and your husband at war? And what was your daily routine?
Well, it was definitely really difficult to support my 6 children. I had to work overtime at my husband's accountant job, but it was different, and I enjoyed it. I was able to provide for my family and still had some money left over, so it was fine. As for the second question, I wake up every morning at 5 to get ready for work at 6. I work until around 3 p.m. to pick up my children from school and drop them off at home. I go back to work and come home around 11 to finish my chores.
Very nicely done. I applaud you. I also have a quick question. What happened when your husband came home from the war?
And after my husband came home, I had to give up my job, as most of my girlfriends did as well. I am back to my boring job of being a housewife. I actually have to go because my kids need me right now.
Okay, see you later. And now we shall take a short break and return for our last bit of today's special.
Gee, that was wonderful.
Well, let's have another one. Here goes.
Hold it, gang. How about having some sandwiches and Coke?
Hey, I'll go for that anytime. Me too.
On to the icebox.
This smart young hostess knows there's nothing like giving folks what they want. When it comes to refreshment, what everybody wants is a Coke. Coca-Cola is so delicious, such real refreshment. Be sure you keep plenty in your refrigerator. Then you'll always be ready to serve and enjoy sparkling, ice-cold Coca-Cola right in the bottle.
And now we're back.
Now, this brings us to present day. There are so many subjects to talk about. Which one would you like to discuss?
I think that the paranoia citizens are experiencing right now should be interesting.
Good idea, Alex. Have you heard about the commies who were found guilty?
What? I've never heard of it. Tell me about it.
Well, the FBI claims that Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were involved in spying for the Soviet Union.
Preposterous. What did they spy on?
They said they leaked information about the atomic bomb, so they were going to be executed via the electric chair.
I believe that is well deserved.
I do too. But what is really interesting is that the FBI is not the only one who's doing these investigations.
Senator McCarthy is too. I find him to be quite interesting.
Me too. He created his committee in which he subpoenaed people to his committee hearings. They are quite interesting. Have you listened or seen any of them?
I have seen many, in fact. These commies, they're ratting each other out. How hilarious, because if they don't, they will be blacklisted.
Blacklisted? Sounds familiar. What does...
It means that people who refuse to cooperate with McCarthy would be ostracized, and they would lose their jobs. However, he cannot directly penalize them because, after all, he's just a senator and not a judge.
I think he's doing a very good job finding and punishing the commies.
I think he's doing alright, to be honest. These trials I've seen are somewhat flawed in the sense that he has no hard evidence. It is based on what this person and that person said about the accused. By the time you know it, he'll be accusing everyone in the United States. It's a bit exaggerative, but you get the point.
Yeah, I understand. He has been targeting Hollywood too.
Hey, I mean, if he finds a true commie, be my guest, arrest him or her, and send them to jail.
Dumb commies. Who do they think they are? We are Americans, and Americans believe in democracy and capitalism.
Yeah, let's talk about something happier, though.
Oh, I have something we can end with.
What?
The debate on the Marshall Plan.
Oh, right. The Marshall Plan was an act of altruism. It truly was, and I stand by it. People have criticized it for its expenditures, but in the end, it is about the greater good. By helping Western Europe, Turkey, and France, we are containing communism to only the eastern sphere.
I concur. Communism will only spread when there is economic grief, and by stabilizing the countries we help, it would prevent communism from ever touching the other European countries.
I would like to add that if we don't help the Western European countries, communism would eventually find its way to the United States.
I understand. It's like the domino effect. If one falls, all will fall. The saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall.
And yep, that concludes it, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.